Flare up straight away between Colwill and James McLean.
The right decision coming out of his goal in the first place, but he took so long on the ball.
And for the boys, we get to prove ourselves. You know, everyone's been talking a lot of shit about us this season, but we've done it.
All I ask is when you lay your head on that pillow at night, you know I gave you everything I had.
You did.
I gave you everything I had.
Just when it seemed like Chelsea were finally on a steady path as a club with Enzo Maresca, the 2025-2026 season reminded us that this is still the same old Chelsea, also known as Chaos FC. After last year's brilliant end to the season, Chelsea fans had justified reasons to be excited for the new season, even after a disappointing transfer window. Enzo Maresca and the board seemed to be in lockstep, the players were finally playing pure Maresca ball, and we had just beat the best team in the world, PSG, 3-0 to be crowned world champions. Expectations and hopes were very high for the upcoming season, but 7 months later, Chelsea are now sitting at 5th place in the middle of a tight race to avoid the Europa League, and Chelsea's world champion manager is sitting on his couch after falling out with BlueCO and getting fired. After this disappointment of a season so far, it might sound ridiculous, but I can honestly sit here and point to one key moment before the season even began that could have prevented all of this and possibly even saved Enzo Maresca's job in the process. In August of 2025, Levi tore his ACL during a training session, and on August 7th, Chelsea confirmed he had undergone a successful surgery. There have been a few updates on his rehabilitation, but Rosenior recently said that Colwill could possibly be back and play again this season. I'm surprised not a lot of people are talking about it, but I honestly believe Levi Colwill's injury had a huge detriment on our season, not just with our performances on the pitch, but with Enzo Maresca's relationship with the board and his job. There's a whole lot to break down, and if you guys could leave a like before we do begin, it would help out the channel a whole lot and would be greatly appreciated. So that being said, let's go ahead and dive right in. So to understand where my claim about Levi Colwill comes in, first we have to talk about what's gone wrong for Chelsea this season. Like I previously mentioned, there were high expectations for this group coming into the season, and rightfully so. Chelsea were the world champions, and when you have a title as glamorous as that, you are expected to prove it week in, week out. As I'm recording this video, Chelsea are in a not so glamorous battle to avoid playing Europa League football, and the thought of playing Europa League football next season with the world champion badge on your kit is an absolute embarrassment. Chelsea proved at the end of last season they could compete with any team in the world, so why are they struggling and never look like serious contenders for the title? Well, Chelsea are actually 1st in the league for total XG and 3rd in the league for total goals. So then you think it's the defending, right? I mean, Chelsea are the 4th best defensive unit when it comes to goals conceded, 7 goals behind City and Arsenal, but the problem comes in here. Chelsea are the 2nd worst team in the league when it comes to points dropped from winning positions, only behind 18th place West Ham. They dropped a total of 19 points from winning positions, and amazingly 17 of those points occurred at Stamford Bridge. The common criticism is that Chelsea's squad is too young and immature, and of course that is a valid criticism. But when you look at our midfield and our offense, you start to see a big gap in quality and leadership compared to our defense, and more specifically our center backs. There is a clear mentality problem at our club, and to add to that, there is an even worse one when it comes to our discipline. I'm sure everyone, even non-Chelsea fans, are aware of it, but Chelsea with 9 red cards are now at the top for most red cards in a single Premier League season in history, and we still have 10 games to go. I believe this issue goes beyond the players or staff, and it is something that the club needs to deal with. But I really do think that is a whole other issue that needs to be solved, but it does add to the point that there is zero stability when it comes to the squad, especially our center backs. And this is where Levi Colwill's absence comes in. There's always chopping and changing with Chelsea's center backs. Fofana and Badiashile are always coming and going with injuries. Tosin occasionally is our late match option, and we have part-time center backs like Sarr, Hato, Ashampong, and even Reece James plays center back sometimes. Trevoh Chalobah has been our most consistent and frequent center back this season. So far this season, he has 28 Premier League appearances, and last season, Levi Colwill made 35 starts in the Premier League, and he played 3,150 minutes, more than any other Chelsea defender last season. In Colwill's absence, not only is there only one player even close to Colwill's consistency of last season, but there's not a single player on this Chelsea squad that can or has played the role Colwill played last season. To understand why Colwill is so special to the team, I'll just let Maresca explain it himself. In a press conference that took place last season, Maresca says that What made Colwill so special was his ability to play that central center back position in Maresca's back three. The only other player in the squad who has been able to play in that position so far has been Tosin, of course, and up to this point we also have seen Trevoh Chalobah play that position too. And as we know now, Tosin is not good enough to be a starter, let alone play in one of the most important positions on the pitch. Maresca absolutely knew this even since last year, which made Colwill even more important, and makes you further understand Maresca's pleas for a new center back after Colwill got injured, which we'll come back to later on. When Colwill is on the pitch, his ability on the ball allows the team to build up the pitch more efficiently. He was top 5 in the league for line-breaking passes and overall passing statistics such as pass accuracy and long balls. To think that after Colwill's injury, ruling him out most of the season, Maresca was told to use Tosin rather than find a replacement would either make you laugh or just cry. Tosin's performances were suspect even last season. He may have been able to hide behind some good Conference League performances, but he had never been reliable in the Premier League or in any big matches. Colwill's 1v1 ability is also elite. Think of how many goals, and more specifically late goals, we've conceded this season alone, and then think of how many goals we would have avoided if we just had Colwill's presence at the back. So Colwill is good, everyone knows that. But what I think is something he brings to the table more important than his ability is his leadership and his mentality. The only current center back I feel confident wearing the armband is honestly Trevoh Chalobah. Tosin has good leadership skills, but we all know he shouldn't be on the pitch either way, and especially not wearing the armband. And Chalobah isn't really a natural leader either. I will give props to him because I think it is something he has clearly worked on. Very similar to Reece James, they both came into the first team kind of quiet and timid, but over the years they have very much worked on their leadership and being more outspoken. And coming from the academy, they both know what it means to play for the club, so I will give him credit on that aspect. But when it comes to Colwill, whenever he is on the pitch, you just immediately see him. He is always involved, aggressive, commanding, and outspoken like a true captain. Even when he was on loan at Huddersfield and Brighton, he never shied away from the ball and always got physical. Wherever he is, he wants to be the main man and the best version of himself and the best center back on the pitch. After his loan at Brighton, there was even a bit of doubt whether he would come back to Chelsea because he wanted to make sure he's at the best place for his development and playing time. Once he came into the team though, he didn't shy away from the spotlight, even playing at left back under Poch. He was showcasing his ball playing ability and his leadership skills. He is one of the few players who gets aggressive with opponents, and inside team huddles, he's always the one raising his voice. Even during interviews, he always speaks very highly about the mentality and the standards at the club, and how every competition Chelsea is in, they are in it to absolutely win it. I'm sure if anyone in the squad had intentions of starting this season and challenging for the title, it was definitely Levi Colwill. And if we were able to play with the ideal of a title race under Maresca's first season, I genuinely have no doubts we would have been in a more serious title race this season if Colwill never got injured. When Colwill comes back into the squad, he will truly feel like a new signing. I don't think any of our current center backs are near the level of Colwill in terms of his ability, and especially not in his mentality. Apparently Colwill is already out on the grass, but it's still unknown when his return will be. But hopefully we do get to see him at least once before the end of the season. On January 1st, Enzo Maresca was sacked by Chelsea after a run of poor performances and falling out with the board. Like I mentioned earlier, looking from the outside in, everything looked great at the start of the season. Trophies started to roll in, we had a deep squad and the vibes were immaculate. And then Levi Colwill got injured. It should be common sense that when a player as important as Levi Colwill gets ruled out for most of the season, you bring in a replacement. Even just a short-term solution, whatever it is, someone that doesn't go by the name of Tosin. Even when Maresca had previously gone on record about how important he is to the team, so when Maresca asked for a new center back, the board told them no. I truly believe that was the beginning of the end of Maresca and BlueCO's relationship. Maresca had absolutely every right to be upset about not getting in another center back. Reports said he wanted Mark Guéhi, which would have been a great option for that position, but BlueCO thought his wages were too high and he'd be too expensive. So instead of pivoting to a different option, BlueCO told Maresca to work with what he had. Therefore, the season began and it should have come to no one's surprise the results were not there. The defending was terrible, the organization and stability at the back just wasn't there. We kept conceding terrible goals, late equalizer, and match-losing goals. We had no leadership leading to indiscipline and red cards, and it's been a mess, and it's hard to blame Maresca when he so obviously saw this coming. I know it's a bold statement to make, but I truly think Colwill's injury was the start of Maresca's end at Chelsea. Whether you think it was the root of the cause for his sacking or not, you cannot deny You cannot deny, knowing what we know now, Maresca had every right to be furious at the board for not replacing Levi Colwill. And whether or not that led to his falling out with the board, it definitely had a very big part of it. Could this have been avoided? Yes. Yes. Say yes.
是的。
I understand to an extent BlueCO's strategy of recruitment and coaching, but when a coach is so adamant about a certain position, I'm sorry, but you cannot do nothing about it. Whether it was to grant Maresca his top target or get in a short-term solution on loan or a different player, starting the season with our current center backs was absolute suicide. Looking at our current center back options at the start of the season, put yourself in Maresca's shoes. The only center backs you could realistically count on throughout the duration of the season was Chalobah and Tosin. Badiashile and Fofana are constantly injured. Everyone else Maresca played at center back were either unproven or playing out of position like Ashiampong, Hato, and Cucurella. Out of all of BlueCO's offenses, this honestly might take the cake. They absolutely set Maresca up to fail at the start of the season after a summer when we should have gone to the next level after becoming world champions. Once again, Colwill's return to the squad will be a massive boost and feel like a new signing. I still think we should go out this summer and buy another center back on top of that. And as much as I love Chalobah and would like him to remain as a squad player, I do not think he is good enough to be a starting option. I'm sure Rosenior would absolutely love Levi Colwill when he comes back, and I think we are still far from seeing Colwill at his peak ability. It might take a while for Colwill to remove the rust and get used to playing again, especially after such a serious injury, but we have seen players like Van Dijk go through that process as well and finally get back to a top level. Colwill is apparently already on the grass and may even get to play this season under Rosenior, but that being said, I do not think we should expect him to come back and save our season. So if Colwill is really the key to this team and certainly this defense, once he is back we finally will be able to see what this team can do in the league. However, that is if BlueCO does get this next transfer window right, which we are all absolutely hoping they do. Let me know if you guys agree with my claim about Levi Colwill. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment. Any form of interaction is greatly appreciated, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, you guys.